The Ukraine-Russia war is spiraling to new heights. Deadly drone strikes on Kyiv, bold Western moves, and China's hidden role in Russia's war machine. This conflict is shaking the world. Welcome to Gen Radar, where we break down the latest global crises. Today, we're diving deep into the escalating tensions in Ukraine and what it means for global stability. Stick around for the full story, and let's get started. To understand what's happening this week, let's set the stage. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the war has claimed tens of thousands of lives, displaced millions, and reshaped global alliances. Ukraine, backed by NATO and Western nations, has been fighting to reclaim its territory, while Russia continues its aggressive campaign, targeting cities like Kyiv with relentless airstrikes. Fast forward to May 2025, and the conflict is at a critical turning point. Ukraine's resilience is being tested as Russia ramps up its aerial assaults, and Western leaders are making bold moves that could change the course of the war. But with every escalation, the risk of a broader conflict grows. So what happened this week to push tensions even higher? On Monday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in Berlin to discuss bolstering support for Ukraine. Merz dropped a bombshell. Germany is imposing no-range restrictions on Western-supplied weapons. This means Ukraine can now use German and other Western weapons to strike targets deep inside Russian territory, a major shift in policy. This decision has sparked fierce debate. For Ukraine, it's a game-changer, allowing them to target Russian supply lines and military bases more effectively. But the Kremlin called it dangerous, accusing the West of escalating the conflict to a global scale. Russian officials warned of unpredictable consequences, raising fears of retaliation. And Russia isn't holding back. On Tuesday night, Moscow launched 60 drones on Kyiv, one of the largest attacks this year. This came just days after a massive air raid over the weekend that killed over 24 people and injured hundreds. The strikes have devastated neighborhoods, hospitals, and schools, with Zelensky calling them deliberate terror against civilians. Zelensky is now pleading for stronger Western action, not just weapons, but tougher sanctions and diplomatic pressure on Russia. He argues that without a unified global response, Putin's aggression will only intensify. But with NATO countries like Germany doubling down, the question is, are we inching closer to a direct NATO-Russia confrontation? Now, let's turn to a surprising player in this conflict, China. Ukraine's intelligence dropped a bombshell of their own this week, revealing that 80% of the critical electronics in Russia's drones, think microchips, sensors, and navigation systems, come from China. These components are the backbone of Russia's drone warfare, enabling precise and devastating attacks. This raises serious questions about China's role. Beijing has claimed neutrality in the war, positioning itself as a peacemaker. But supplying critical tech to Russia's military suggests a deeper involvement. Western leaders are now scrutinizing China's trade practices, with some calling for sanctions on Chinese firms linked to Russia's war effort. The implications are huge. If China is indirectly fueling Russia's war machine, it could strain relations with the US and Europe, who are already grappling with trade wars and geopolitical tensions. Could this lead to a broader economic or diplomatic showdown? And what does it mean for Ukraine's fight on the ground? So where does this leave us? The Ukraine-Russia conflict is at a dangerous crossroads. Western support is empowering Ukraine but also provoking Russia, risking a wider war. China's role adds another layer of complexity, potentially turning this into a global power struggle. For Ukraine, the immediate focus is survival, defending against Russia's onslaught while pleading for more aid. Looking ahead, expect more diplomatic maneuvering. NATO may increase military aid, while the US and EU could push for sanctions on Chinese firms. But every step forward carries risks. Will these moves deter Putin, or are we on the brink of an even bigger conflict? That's the latest on the Ukraine-Russia crisis. What do you think? Should the West escalate support for Ukraine, or is de-escalation the answer? And what about China's role? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into global news. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.